Hey, it's me, Puppet DM, and I'm here to tell you all about the sponsors we have here at the Wandering Society. We're sponsored here by Mage and Press, makers of a bunch of 5th edition supplements, like the Book of Kobold or their series of new classes. And don't forget, Arcmada, the amazing sci-fi fantasy campaign setting for the world's greatest role-playing game. Be sure to check them out at store.mageandpress.com. Up next, we have Roll20. It's the platform we use here at the Wandering Society to play all of our games. It's easy to use, intuitive, and it now comes with dark mode. Be sure to check them out at roll20.net. We're also sponsored by Our Talsorian Games. Our Talsorian Games make great RPGs, and they've been doing so since the early 90s. Check their books. They've got Cyberpunk Red, which Simon tells me has been played here extensively, Castle Falkenstein, which also has been played here, and The Witcher, which has also been. Okay, we get it! Check them out at your FLGS or online at ourtalsoriangames.com. Have you ever wanted to wake up and smell the coffee? Well, now you can with this next sponsor, Found Familiar. Get yourself some damn good coffee at foundfamiliar.com and use the code on the screen to get 15% off. What do you mean I can't drink coffee? What the fuck is felt? And we couldn't end this segment without talking about our good friends at Die Hard Dice. That's right. As a Dice affiliate, we are proud to partner with Die Hard Dice to bring you only the best in shiny click-clacks. Click-clacks? What is... Ow. You can check their ever-growing collection over at dieharddice.com and use the link below to get 15% off. You're putting this all on me? I better get a cut. Good evening. Conspiracies. The world of the kindred is full of it. By default, their very existence is one giant conspiracy. A work, thousands of years in the making, to make us, the mortals, believe that the damned are nothing but fantasy, but a trope, a role-playing game. Conspiracies are at the very core of the vampiric existence. Try as they might, the kindred cannot escape them. The games played over millennia by the antediluvians are echoed in the centuries-long feud of the elders, which are in turn repeated in the decades-spanning spats of younger licks. It is normal, then, for the undead to grow paranoid over time, as they uncover more about the twisted schemes of their forebears. But sometimes, a coincidence is just that. Not a cog in some half-forgotten plan to ruin a kindred before they walk willingly into the sun. Sometimes, a shadow is just that. A shadow. A kine is just a kine, and a cigar, just a cigar. Or is it? I'm Simon at Wandering DM, and I will be your storyteller for tonight. Now let's continue on with our story, shall we? Hello. Or as they keep saying in the World of Darkness, good evening. Before we go back into our tale of a city filled with secrets and, dare I say, conspiracies, let's just go around the table and introduce our cast of characters very quickly. We'll start with the person right above me on the overlay, and then we'll proceed left to right, beginning with Trooper. Good evening.
Hello. Good evening. Good evening, wandering DM. I am not a count. Although I could be. I'm Trooper SJP, and I am happy to be here, and I am playing Lucky Dixon, who is, a happy-go-lucky vampire who's just gonna go wandering. We'll go wandering about, having a lovely day. And I'm happy to be here, and I am going to make a pot roast tomorrow sometime. That's my goal. When? I don't know, but I figure if I say it out loud, then I'll have to do it so that I actually then have dinner. So that's my goal. Hold me accountable. Pot roast tomorrow.
This is why crockpots are your friends.
I got the chuck roast and everything. Or the chuck meat.
Chuck roast is...
That's the name, right?
Yeah.
I got it. I'm ready.
Okay.
Speaking of person who cooks, on Twitch, Deirdre, hi.
Yeah. Hey, y'all. You know me. I'm at Deirdre Nolan on Twitter, or Praxgorthas4. You see me around here on Twitch, your friendly neighborhood Prax. And yes, I did do a cooking stream. Been doing a couple cooking streams on Twitch. I did one on Saturday with my mother. It was a lot of fun. But tonight I play Florica Flory Winters. She's here to do a murder, and she hasn't done a murder yet, although she has prevented a major exposure from the Masquerade from somebody else here. And I feel that this is Ravnos stereotyping for blaming the Ravnos for things that are the Bruja's fault. That's where we are right now.
Speaking of blaming people, we should all blame the Tsimichi. Hi, Pope.
Howdy, y'all. Hey, everybody, Pope here. Pope Worldball on Twitch. Pope Worldball on Twitter. I lurk in all your streams. And I resemble that remark. I will be playing Arthur Porter at Montreal's most anxious enemy. And both of us use he, him pronouns, and there is too many threads, too much red yarn being used. And there's a Ravnos in the city whose give a fuck has been broken. A Bruja who does not feel remorse and has a desperate need to go into places that no one, kindred or kind, should go. But where we can go is the jungle.
And as one song ends on my playlist and another begins, we open up tonight's session with a pan of across Montreal. We see from a bird's eye view the night traffic, some of the nightlife. We can see kine walk about just like ants, crawling all over downtown. And there's this building just off the main street, just off St. Cath, where there's a lineup of people. There's some fake palm trees in front. The big boom of the bass can be felt even across the street. And inside, we find Arthur. Arthur Porter, who did you call to remind our good friends, the viewers?
First, call Caleb, considering that there's a number of things that are going on that just... The numbers that add up aren't good for any of us. And as much as she may not want to be in the know, Diana has definitely set roots down here, and she's going to be vital to the community that comes in. And so she needs to also be.
And also, you are meeting at her place.
Well, if I'm going to tell her everything, makes sense.
She would have the two of you meet in her office, basically management's office. Not the swanky second floor, spacious room, the private mini club that she has on the second floor where you were but a few nights ago. No, instead it's this dark, sleek office. It stands in stark contrast to the colorful palette of vibrant colors that make up of most of the jungle. The flamingos, the palm trees, the neons, the almost kitsch-like setup that people seem to enjoy anyway. Especially in a province that sees sunlight like 3 months a year. Her office is, you could say, almost Tim Burton-esque in how everything is angled. The desk seems just a little too big. The chair has a sort of a high back black leather chair with these two. They look like horns. They look like curved horns. It's very Nightmare Before Christmas almost. She has a carpet on the floor, checkered black and white. Fake plants in here are just completely black in like these gunmetal silvery vases. Abstract art of just grayish landscape. It actually looks like all the colors in the club, the reason why they exist is because they were drained from this very office.
Diane, I'm not to criticize anybody's sense of fashion, but you a fan of Beetlejuice?
I went through a phase in the 90s. I haven't redecorated. There's a part of me that still stands, I don't know, comfortable in this. Yeah. I know it's kind of bleak and it's so very not 2014. But I don't know, I get sick of all the pastels and the colors and she points just like the wall that connects to...
that makes sense.
So this is like like an oasis of just not being overstimulated by everything.
Unfortunately, I have a feeling I'm going to be overstimulating tonight.
And Caleb, who's here, turns to you to, he arrived a few minutes before you. Turns and says, yes, you seem to have... You seemed, to put it mildly, distraught on the phone earlier.
For good reason. The two of you both know my previous affiliation.
Diana... Oh, no, go ahead.
I witnessed something that tells me this city isn't necessarily clean of them.
Diana just takes a pen that she has on her desk and just toys with it. Makes it walk on the desk. Just tap, 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 tap. She seems to be lost in thought. Caleb sucks on his fangs for a second. You can see actually one of the rare color in this office are the blue veins that just show through his like translucent skin. I've always expected that some of them, he says, that some of them have survived, hidden, probably licked their wounds. A few years might be enough for them to find courage to come out again.
I don't think we got that kind of time.
Well, if you found one of the old proprietors of this island, there is no Camarilla here to administer justice. It's very much a free-for-all.
I'm sorry. I'm not incredibly familiar with the cam. I don't care really about justice. What I care about is survival.
Yes.
If what I witnessed and what my history tells me that means, survival is at stake. Dorchester Square. Underneath it, we all know that, well, that's where the party went down. However, it's not some old lord that I witnessed. Our tracker and problem solver had a conversation with someone and decided to send him screaming home with mom. No one paid that man any mind. Now, I understand in a full Sabbat city that shouldn't be an oddity, but in precisely how unmoved the people were, I am almost 100% certain. Somebody with a particular set of skills, somebody familiar with me and mine and the old ways, is still operating under Dorchester Square.
Diana's the first to reply before even Caleb has time to articulate a vowel. All of them died. All of the Tsimichi, all of their warlocks, their sorcerers, they were all down there when shit blew up.
Oh, sweetheart. You think some of us can't meld with the earth? You think a little boom can kill us all? That's quaint.
She looks very quickly to Caleb, and he agrees with you. Some could have survived. It is not impossible. I mean, the olders among us are certainly resourceful, and I do not trust the kind to have done a full sweep of the place. That said, I have been trying to find a way in, just to see if anything was left.
Well,
Nothing.
Unfortunately, for all of us, a very particular individual is going to force their way down there as much as they don't want him to. It's part of the reason I'm here.
Who?
Lucky.
That hockey-playing Bruja? From north
Yeah,
of town?
that hockey playing Bruja well, again, it's a Bruja. If there is a hornet's nest to be kicked, that clan will find it and punt it between the goalposts. And that is what is about to happen. So, if there is, and I'm almost absolutely certain, at least one of mine down there, if there is more, or more importantly, if there is an experiment that the kind didn't clear, it might wake up, it might get out. So this is the time that it's all hands on deck.
You're thinking a warghoul.
Warghoul is not the term I use. I like the old tongue. A vogue.
Let me say this. I would love to see your Lucky try to find a way inside temple. And I know how my voice sounds to many people. This is not sarcasm. Like I said, I have been trying to get in, though I have been careful. I never thought of breaking through the debris with my own head. Now that is sarcasm. But we do not want anyone to awaken anything, not when we are already... And he looks to Diana, I'm sure you will agree. On edge with the Masquerade.
Speaking of which, brings up an excellent secondary point. I don't think this is necessarily tied to our directly to our Sabat problem. Might be tangent, but there is somebody that's preying on the houses, and by the prey patterns, either somebody embraced and dumped, which always causes problems, or there's someone I haven't gotten acquainted with that has a very particular taste in kind. So I'd appreciate it if you two would enlighten me if there is someone in the community that would have that particular habit and be messy about preying on them. Not messy in the normal way, just not subtle.
Caleb will turn to Diana with a knowing smile. She rolls her eyes and gets a key from like a little chain she has across her neck, and she unlocks one of her drawers, opens it up, and it's just with the sound of it, you know that there's something heavy in there. And she gets one of those like 2-3 inch thick binders. She dumps it on the desk, and then she takes another, dumps it on the desk. She closes the drawer, which by the sound, get a feeling it's empty. This is my scrapbooking project. I mean, no one's interested in keeping track of the comings and goings of everyone, so... And she taps them. I've done a harpy's job. I mean, a herald job. For you, Arthur, heralds are basically... I'm sure you had that same thing down south. The ones who keep tabs on people.
I'm familiar.
Well then. These, and she just like, runs a finger along the pages. You hear the... This is... everything on... I can't say everyone, but as close to everyone as I can think of. And yes, I have heard about your nightly toe sucker. Unfortunately, and she takes the first binder, she puts it to the side. She opens the second binder, begins to flip through the pages. Unfortunately, out of everything I have, and she gets to the very last page, which is just like one sheet of like loose leaf paper, probably torn from like a notebook or whatever. This, and she plays with it, is all I have, because he is very, very new, I think. As in, either, like you said, embraced and dumped recently, or just arrived here and we do not have a court nor a prince to force anyone to introduce themselves.
I just know that with this particular habit, and if they are brand spanking new, they're gonna fuck up. Gonna fuck up in a really bad way and not have somebody to cover for.
Yeah, that's something. From what I've been told by some of my acquaintances, Caleb's acquaintances, by all account, this person should have fucked up already, if they are fledglings. So either this person knows about certain things and just don't care. I mean, you can look at Yuma and all of his ilk. Could be one of them. I mean, they are very close to the... She looks at you before saying the S word. Sabat, in how they treat some of the traditions. No, my guess is, and Caleb cuts her off, my guess is that this is a newcomer who's trying to mark a territory. He wants to be seen. He wants us to note that he exists. Except, with all due respect, who the fuck cares? Unless he came here with power. Power to upend this entire island and the lawless chaos that we've been living with. Some of us very comfortable, mind you. Why would he not just knock at one of our doors? Of course, if he comes from who the hell knows and he does not know anyone here, either through contacts or through general knowledge, he could just try to make himself act like the big dog. I don't think he is. I think, however, that like you said, Arthur, tangential to the issue we've had with True Witness. This person feels like it is they, whoever they are an obvious next target. If someone's hunting us down to catch us on film, they already probably pay attention to the news that most outlets would ignore. I'm thinking, find this person, you'll probably find the photographer nearby, hopefully before he snaps his pictures. Otherwise, it's just a big coincidence.
About the photographer problem. That's a setup. That was bait. This True Witness thing? No, that and the unfortunate filming of one of the kind that just happened to be in my neck of the woods. That is someone private, someone with power, wants to see who jumps and how they do it. Now, if I don't let all of my justifiable paranoia take hold, I would say something like this. Smells of money. Smells of venture. Smells of somebody outside. Could be tied to our junkyard dog, as you're kind of describing. Might be a forerunner hound that they put in place. But no, this True Witness thing and how that disc actually got in people's hands, and that's someone's pet project.
Oh, it feels very much like someone's pet project.
Yeah, but it's not kind. It's us. So, again, as a courtesy, because the two of you are going to be important to whatever Montreal becomes.
Arthur, with all due respect, I would not underestimate the Kine either. They, after all, are the ones who blew up Vienna, who blew up Montreal.
Yeah, but...
And they're the ones who managed to kill one of the antediluvians.
But let's be fair, kid. All those instances was because one of us either fucked up or wanted that to happen.
Oh, yes. In this specific instance, I think it's someone who fucked up.
I don't know how much of a story in YouTube. You remember the original Inquisition? The one that brought, those wonderful heydays, the Dark Age to a close. That was the Keepers doing. They thought that they could manipulate the church and have them do precisely what they want.
I am aware.
It got out of hand. So, the two of you have your hands on the pulse of this place. The two of you and you. As much as you might not like it, he's useful.
Oh, I'm well aware of the usefulness of Yuma. Diana, she just mutters something along the lines of smells like wet dog. But you're missing one other major player, Arthur.
Who's that?
Valois. He survived the hunters. He was in Montreal and has been in Montreal for years. And Diana confirms it by like moving the first binder, opening it up, and she is like, you know, half an inch thick of stuff.
Yeah. Val was survived. But unless he has something on whatever's down in Dorchester Square, knowing who I know and the hell that is coming, Valois' days are numbered because he's overcome. And before she's done fucking with me, just because she has a particular taste for Tremere, he's going to be dead. He's going to be dead.
Aren't we all?
No. No, sweetheart, that's not how we work. We like to be like a hurricane. We leave our mark. And then we leave. But there are certain things that we have, our indulgences, are things that we just can't let go of. For her, hell, even for me, it's bleeding the warlock dry.
Interesting. You can hear Diana scribble something on a piece of paper.
Oh, sweetheart, if you want information about me, you just gotta ask.
She steeples her fingers, leans over on her desk. I would like to know everything. Everything.
Well then, sweetheart. Hands her a card to the green. Seems like we have a dinner date soon. You and I.
You certainly know how to ask a woman out.
We want to know everything. Make certain that you have nice but robust clothing. Don't come hungry. Make sure that your stomach is girded. The story I have to tell is not comfortable.
Will do.
In the meantime, you should get over your wet dog problem. He is a good hound, is worth 20 licks. And right now, Yuma's a good hound.
If I were sheriff, I wouldn't make him a hound. He's... Caleb finishes her sentence. Volatile, yes. But sometimes you need someone volatile to break through ancient catacombs that have been completely covered in rubble.
Also, there's this actual wet dog problem that you got just outside the city limits. And if you want to have your fences secure, you need a good guard dog. Yuma can be that. You just gotta know how to talk.
Well, I mean, if I had to choose between him and, what's his name again? Lucky?
Mhm.
At least with Yuma, I know what I'm dealing with. Lucky's Anyway. If that is all, gentlemen, I thank you for your warnings of impending doom. And I'll keep an eye out on, well, whoever's going in and out of the city, I guess.
One last question. This is something that, again, whenever it drops in my lap, the oracular mutterings of Malkavian, I always have to ask the people that have a better idea of them. Aside from the obvious, is there anything tied to the name Occam when it comes to this town that I should be aware of?
Diana takes both binders and begins to flip through them, and you can see basically celerity in action as she flips the pages so fast and goes through them so quickly that you have trouble keeping up with just looking at like words on pages. You see numerous pages also have like photographs stuck to them or like attached to them with a clip, a paper clip, or sketches of people. Some are written like on a typewriter, others are just like hand notes written in. All from what you can see anyway, it's all the same handwriting, so it seems that it's been Diana's pet project for a while. But after she's gone through both binders, it says, nope, no Occam here. Mr. Duval? Caleb shakes his head. Unless it's the name of a ghoul or some such. I've never heard the name Occam linked to anything else, at least as far as I'm concerned, with just the more simple solution. Which, I don't know which Malkavian have told you that, but sometimes that's just what you might need to hear.
All right. And as for underestimating Lucky, Diana, you do not know that bloodline. You do not want to fuck with that. Especially if she's still around. Because you're not fast enough for her. And that's when he walks out.
You walk out of the club, and by the time you're outside, you've made a few steps away through, like, you know, wherever your car was parked. But you hear someone walk up behind you. Arthur. Caleb trying to project his voice as best he can.
Subtly stop, turn on dime.
You notice that it's not... Well, it takes you a second to see through the image, but it's just an average person kind of face you see in the crowd all the time, but he speaks with Caleb's voice. And then you notice the mask of 1,000 faces just shifting slightly as he's not trying to maintain it for you, but for everyone else around. He says, "You forgot to give me a name. Who is this she-devil you talk of? Who is so intent on ruining your existence that she would sink the entire island? If we're all in danger, then I would like to know who I am up against."
Name is Val Philogama. She's Venetian bold,
From Florida.
vengeful. Oh, my dear Caleb. I'm certain she's already been here.
I've heard the name before. If it is the same Val. I'll have to speak with the Warlock. Thank you.
Be careful, Caleb. Especially when talking with Valmont. He's
Oh,
overconfident.
he's also very resourceful, but I know where his usefulness ends and his bravado begins.
Just be
You're-
careful. I like you.
Thank you. I would not have entrusted you and the two others with this task if I didn't have an ounce of confidence in your capabilities. Speaking of, try to make sure Lucky doesn't meet his final death.
Bruhan and Mood. There's only two individuals, two clans that might be able to draw him out, not neither.
Oh, and send me Flory when you have time. I need to speak with her. I mean, I know she's working under your employ, isn't she?
I have her on retainer, but
If I can have her.
she's also in the mood. And right now, Caleb, till she's done, till she's found her target, you
Oh.
don't want to fuck with that.
No, it's not time sensitive. But I would appreciate to have her number.
I'll make sure of you. She's very good. Very good.
It's what I've heard.
Have a good night, Caleb.
Good evening. And he just walks like on into an alley. And the moment there's a big enough spot of shadows, you just don't see him anymore. So, let's jump to Flory first,
Sure.
and then later on to Lucky. Flory, last time when we left, you had found information, I believe, from Lil Joe.
Yes, but we also, I was taking Talathia to the airport and was gonna then text.
Yes.
other two.
I forgot that, yes, Talathia also told you that she did see a picture of Val
Mhm.
in an old journal before from a cult shop down in Atlanta. You bring her to the airport, no problem. There's not a whole lot of traffic at night.
Yeah, and not a lot of traffic is gonna get in the way of the Stingray. 63 Spider is a 63 Spider.
She thanks you for the ride.
Mhm.
And I'm gonna be careful. Definitely.
Okay. Have fun. Enjoy yourself.
As always. Do you mind giving me a call when it's safe to come back, or can I just come
You
back
can always
whenever?
You can come back whenever. I'm just telling you to be careful in general. A lot of things are changing. But there's never really a truly safe place for one of us, right?
Nope. Nowhere. Maybe a bunker somewhere.
No, I knew people who tried that in 38. It did not end well. It really didn't end well. But enjoy yourself, have fun, and if you have major problems with a bunch of people who are, crazy asshole men and that you don't want to deal with, you have Zalmadi's number. He'll be around.
Okay. And you take care of yourself, she says as she takes her suitcase.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to give the impression of helping her with her suitcase and getting her out, and just it's like the kiss and ride kind of thing, getting her at the exit. But I'm going to take a second, as I get closing the car back up and getting back in to scan to see if anybody's paying too much attention to her or me, but more to her.
Make that. It's not going to be wits, though, in this case. I feel like I would like... Let's go with resolve and awareness.
Resolve and awareness. I can do that. Excuse me. Two successes.
Two successes. No one's paying attention to her particularly, nor to you. But you do notice there's an awful lot of security. Just in general. You don't need to fly mostly unless you go from one continent to the other.
And there are boats for that.
But that's an awful lot of cameras and body scanners, and even for an airport, they're kind of overdoing it a bit.
So my next question is this, I know two types of security that get beefed up. One, was there a threat that they're concerned about? Or two, is there a new VIP coming through that they're concerned about? Because those are two different types of security that they would be.
No, you get the feeling it's more the threat part than the VIP, because you had already looked for new VIPs coming in town.
Yeah, but that, sometimes that might change, Mm-hmm. And there are people who they don't publish the travel arrangements for, but then it'll just appear in a...
Yeah, but with all the hardware that you see more than the staff.
Okay, then yeah, it's probably it's targeted.
Yeah, it's a it's been 2 years. Wouldn't be too far-fetched to think that in case someone survived the Night of Ashes, the Inquisition had any exits from the city, or the most common exits, heavily surveilled.
And as she kind of gets in the car and, it's she was taking, did that thing where she took a moment to adjust the dress, because she's wearing the much more traditional, very traditionally quote unquote bohemian cut dresses, but still in her signature black with just the color of the headband being the point of color. And she's takes a second, as she's as if she's shaking out the skirts before she gets in the car, doing those little motions so it looks natural. And she's gonna get back in the car, and as she takes a second to flip the mirror down and adjust her makeup and then flip it back up, she goes, and this is why we cross the border in a car. And she's going to game.
She's going to game?
She sorry, I read the thing that you just...
Oh, sorry.
And then so she's going to get in the car and go, and as she's doing, she's going to because she likes certain pieces of technology that make her job in her life easier. She doesn't like all technology, and but she does like things like hands-free Bluetooth.
Mhm.
So she's got, and because you can get like the little one that just attaches to the screen, the visor, so that it isn't actually so it doesn't mar the car, right? She's got the little plug-in to do the updated sound on the stereo that plays through the phone, so she can play with her playlist when she wants, and she's got the Bluetooth speaker so that she can do hands-free talking. Well, if she's going to be talking with her hands anyways, it's fine.
Mhm.
But it just means that she doesn't have to worry about actually looking at the phone, and she'll just go, and so she'll just say out loud, call Hamia. And the phone will ring for Lucky.
Hello?
Okay. I don't need to
Thank you.
make the.
No,
You did. Actually, I'm sorry. I didn't pick it up yet. Go ahead.
No, she has set your ringtone, by the way, to Sam Cooke.
Oh yeah, no, but it's Lucky on his end, who
Yeah, I don't know what
probably
Lucky has
doesn't
on his
have
end.
the most.
It's a flip phone.
Of course.
It is. It's a flip phone. T9. Hello?
Where are you? We're going to have fun.
I'm going to the library.
Which one? I'll
Uh,
meet you there.
Okay. I was gonna go to the university. They're up late, and people search for all sorts of things in the computers there.
Oh, that's good, because that's where I parked the RV. That'll be even easier.
Oh, good. Yeah, because I gotta do some computer searches.
For what?
Well, I'll tell you when we get here.
Okay, fine. Bye. Click. Call Rajul.
Goodbye Yellow Brick Road starts playing.
That's fair.
Simon has
that's
to
fair.
go and do the sound of my cell phone every single time now, by the way, just for the record. Just it's not a high tech phone, but yours I feel like is.
Yes. Well, no, it's not. Well, maybe yes. It's like she doesn't even wait for you to answer. Like the minute it clicks over from the ring, she'll just say, no concerns about
That's
any weirdlings in the city. Although-
good.
Although apparently Val is getting a little famous.
So
Certain people may have seen certain public documents and write-ups about her.
where
Atlanta, occult shops. Pictures are
Wow.
being spread around.
Oh, great.
I don't know. Could be worse.
No,
The only person I know who's seen it only talks to me, and she's Clan, so that's not a problem.
yeah, but if Val hasn't eaten those people, this is more than likely a disinformation campaign. So, yay.
Well, I actually think these were Inquisition documents from a number of years ago. And by number, I mean predating my birth and maybe even Casimir's.
Well, that's impressive, and I'd love to have them. Yeah, no, our favorite Nosferatu in the city, Caleb, would like to have a word with you when you are feeling up for it.
I'll pencil him in. I'm going to go take Lucky to the library.
Why is Lucky going to a library?
You didn't tell me. I'll have to meet him there. We're going to the McGill.
All right. As for our toe sucker, apparently It is theorized that they are somebody that's new in town trying to mark their territory. At least that's what Caleb and Diana are using. And they're
At least I
relatively
know.
new to the island.
Oh, okay. I'm coming back from the airport. I'll be there shortly. You know, oh God, really? These people, they don't know how to drive. Get out of the way!
Well, try not to get into a wreck. I'm going
God,
to go.
no, I like this car. It's original, and I didn't have to rebuild it.
Right. I'm going to go home and consult.
Look, if you're in the
library.
left lane, you should not be doing 30 miles an hour. Get your ass out of the car. Okay, we'll call to you later. Bye.
Bye.
I can confirm, coming out of the airport, regardless of the time of day, it's not as bad as what I have noticed in New York with Lori.
No, you weren't at
in New
York.
Jersey. Yeah, that was even worse.
That was even worse.
But yes,
legitimately worse.
I can confirm that the moment you leave the airport here, several people will try to kill you in their cars. For no other reason than to, I believe, keep up their kill streaks.
Okay.
Obviously not very good. But yeah, so she'll
They
meet.
missed.
Yeah. She'll meet Lucky at a at the.
And I imagine he would probably your RV is, if I remember correctly, not small.
No, it's a very. Have we talked about the RV yet?
I do not think the audience knows anything about your RV.
We have
but
not.
Let me
talked
serve
about
it
the
to you
RV.
if you don't mind.
Okay.
Lucky is going to head down to McGill because you said the RV was parked around there, and he's going to, peruse to see if perhaps, knowing about how far away you like to park from a place that you're going to be going to, if for example that RV might be visible. Presumably there are not that many places you could park it. Probably like one of the stadiums. He's just going to go into.
Yeah. I mean, it's not gonna fit in any of the decks, right?
No.
No.
But why would that be? I mean, it's like, what is it? It's an RV. You can does it have like a little pull-out bed in it? Is it one of those RVs that like?
Oh, that's so cute.
but tell us, how big is your RV?
Hold please. I have the full stats right here. I may have done a little aggressive in the examination of RVs for this particular game and vehicle because it was important. And also I fell down a deep dark hole that you can go into about luxury RVs. It is what is the math? That is 35 feet long. It is a double deck, like a full motor coach, black and gray with a little silver striping, very nice sides. Underneath what looks like the two, if you're used to like motor coaches and like bus, Greyhounds, what look like the two underneath where the flip down section that normal people would put luggage in. We have a slide out garage so that the Corvette can slide into motor coach. The inside is very well appointed. We invested in the Italian marble, black and silver and gray. You don't want white in a vampire's motor coach. It just
Obviously
you don't want
ruins
stains.
it. No.
When it's parked, it does allow for two fully extended sections, the kitchen and one of the residing areas, full LED system. Stereo was redone. We went with Bose instead of Beats because Bose has just better overall sound quality. Beats is okay for like headsets, but like if you want surround sound to really go Bose. # not sponsored. There are technically 2 bedrooms and a full bathroom, along with the 2 driver's coaches, the 60-inch LCD screen that folds down underneath. It is absolutely gorgeous.
So I like to note because when I think about length, right, distances, I am not a football person, so that will never help me. But 35 feet, that's like a 3-story building.
Yes.
Just noting your RV is like a 3-story building, tall, but long.
I have
That's all I'm
seen
saying.
videos of it being driven around, and it is surreal, as in, it should not be real.
As the fact is, this is also, of course, the smaller version. There is a 50-foot. We decided not to go with that one, mostly because the import price is going to be a little bit too expensive. But
Right. Yes. How much does this RV cost?
only about $500,000.
And the 50 foot?
1.2.
1.2 mil. Good. I was just wondering. So I imagine I'll be able to find your RV.
You can find the RV and the small crowd of people just staring at it.
Yeah, it also has international plates. It's fine.
I'm going to
Because you have to think, it's parked in a university campus, and no university professor in the world makes enough money to have that type of RV.
Some of my students have better cars than I do, which is not hard because my car is a bicycle. So actually,
Yeah, but I mean, 1.2 mil even as
Yeah.
a student, nah, they wouldn't be at McGill.
where would they be? What
So
is
we're
your
gonna go to break.
What's that about, Simon?
So
Yeah, I'm gonna be in the I'm not joining the crowd, but I'm gonna observe the crowd because I figure Flory will arrive and maybe I can catch her.
Hear Flory coming, because I guarantee you, it doesn't matter how late at night this is. The sound of a '63 Corvette engine will be heard on a campus like this.
What color is it? Is it a little red Corvette?
Yes.
Nice. I was just curious.
There are two colors this Corvette could have been. It could have been red or silver. It was a little red Corvette.
oh yeah, and
And it definitely predated that song by a good 20 years. It's fine.
the crowd moves away from the RV. They don't even part or anything. They just realize, oh shit, the owner is here. But they stay within good filming distance with their smartphones. Because I mean, this is just opulence on a scale that does not exist in Montreal, whether it is the World of Darkness or the actual city right now.
Yeah, so she'll drift. It's a big empty parking lot. She'll drift the vet.
Lucky and okay, I will say Lucky, can you make wits and awareness? Flory, you can do the same, but you'll need a lot more successes as you are drifting and thus not necessarily looking in the same direction that Lucky is.
Yeah, I'm observing because I was like, oh, there's a crowd. Maybe I can get to Flory before she gets here. Nope, apparently not. So I'm observing the crowd.
I will say for Lucky, 1 success is enough instead of the
2?
usual 2.
5 out of 1.
Okay. And Flory, you would need 4.
I only got 1. It's fine.
Okay. So you don't see it, but
she's driving.
Lucky.
I'm driving. I'm paying attention. I'm intentionally not trying to hit these students, but
Yeah,
I do
yeah.
want to get them out of the way.
It's just the security guard, when he heard the tires screech, is sort of jogging along. And then he's maybe 100 feet away. He just puts his hands on his hips and just shakes his head. And Lucky, you can see in his face he's not paid enough for this shit. Whoever this person is, they have money. I don't give a shit money.
This is true.
And he just shouts to the crowd hey, get away from the vehicle.
As she gets
And that's
out
his
of
job for the evening. He just turns back and
The world of darkness, where security guards are meh. Because security guards who care a lot, they end up dead. So just
yeah.
She will get out of the car and she'll but as she does so, she knows that there are students here, so she's going to pop awe. Not intentionally at Lucky, but at the kind.
Yeah.
And again,
Is there just for fun? There's a I forgot to open the book, but there's a resist check, right?
Because I believe for me,
well, technically, kind can do it.
Yeah, I don't think any of them will try to do it.
so I think that'd be like aware or something or other, right?
It's composure.
I have
Composure
it.
intelligence versus their composure intelligence versus my manipulation presence.
Yeah, they're not. Well, I mean, you know what?
Just to see.
Just to see.
So yeah, only people who are aware they're being affected can try to resist.
Yeah. Well, okay. Well, we're gonna hold on. I'm doing math.
I'll roll mine.
No problem. Ooh, my PDF just froze. Okay, got it.
Composure intelligence.
Oh, I only rolled 2
Oh.
successes. That's sad.
So there's like, it's rare, but there are like 2 people in this little crowd of about, let's say, not even 20. Not even 20. But there's like 2 of them that you realize are unimpressed. But in a way that, like, it does. To most other kind, they wouldn't see it, but it's interesting that they have the backbone to hate the rich that much.
Flory will take note of them, and then as she gets out of the car, she'll smirk, and as she gets out of the car, she'll go, "And I worked my ass off to afford this. This is why you should stay in school, children, because you know what? Art education is very important. Have you sponsored your local
One of the odd kind just raises a hand like they were in a classroom.
Yes.
Did you say art?
Yes. Specifically art evaluation and repatriation.
There are mutters in the crowd about changing majors.
I can introduce you to a couple of the archivists. They're very helpful and would love to help you get into a much better program.
I don't know, though, as a storyteller, if that should count as a stain that you are making people leave their majors to go into art.
I feel like I feel that gives you back willpower, right? I feel like that's part of her either her ambition or desire.
I mean, it would be very Ravnos to have like, what, you're majoring in STEM? No, go in art.
Remember, she's in a mood.
Yeah, it's the daredevil in her, just being like, take risks, do something that can get you barista at best.
She specified exactly what she does, which is art repatriation and evaluation.
Yeah, you didn't specify
that
you've
been assassination part.
Yeah,
that's
and that you've been doing this for like over 100 years.
Shh! You don't mention a lady's age.
Yeah, but there's a thing about climbing the ladder that like they will never be able to.
I said I'd introduce them.
But you notice in I guess a few steps away from the crowd would be Lucky, or are you mingling with the kind?
I'm at a, what's the word? Vantage point, in case there are sketchy people in that crowd. I'm triangulating, as it were, so that I'm.
I mean, with everything that's been happening, like they are filming the RV, they are filming Flory. Flory doesn't appear to be dead. Which is a question I have for you. Did you roll for Blush of Life last time?
Me?
Because no, Flory, I know you did because you went to the coffee.
Yep.
The Starbucks. But Lucky, because you were just not mingling with humans.
Not yet. I would have to do it to come to the library.
Yeah, because that was just a regular rouse check to awaken. So can you please do Blush of Life? Otherwise, everyone's filming you instead.
Absolutely. Whenever I'm going to go hang out with the cattle, the kine, I always try to make sure that I have Blush of Life because people get all weird about things like that.
Well, the Walking Dead sort of breaks down the walls of reality and sort of throws you into a big spiral of existential crises.
They're so fragile. So fragile.
You're kind of proving a lot of religions right.
What? I did not have any remorse. I'm fine. So I'm going to. Because there's a crowd of people filming. I don't like to be filmed. I'm going to sort of make eye contact, and I'm going to sort of give a nod and head back towards. I'm not going anywhere near there. Towards the library, try to find a nice place between here and there where we could talk, probably outside, because inside people can overhear, like somewhere on the street, but not so visible.
It doesn't matter. As she'll like, she'll take a couple seconds, to park the car, lock it, as she's kind of going, and she'll go like, and this is why you pay attention in school. And what are you all doing here? I'm going to the library. What are you all doing? And she's just kind of moving herself forward. But if they continue to follow her, she's just going to play it up.
They will trail behind you. Basically, some of them will eventually just go back to their car. All of them had a class that finished very, very late. And because it was amazing lecture by the professor, and everyone stayed for like 2 extra hours. Except, after that, they stayed again to chat outside the classroom, and then realized they should go home. And most of them, that's the thing, they're all in the same class. And they, let me see, just one. Yeah, they're studying law.
I mean, that's not a surprise.
And which is why, they're wondering if they should switch out from law to art to have the money to afford this thing.
If it starts coming out like that, she'll start going, well, you know what you could do? You could go double major, do law and art, get into the art defense of legal defense, art repatriation. Do you know that there's like how much money antiquities legal defense gets into? And like
they're taking notes.
Oh, and you all speak French, right? Good. Then there's this really great program in Switzerland that's specifically about it.
90% of the crowd doesn't speak French.
Well, she's going to make
McGill.
She goes, well, if you speak French you speak English, it's fine. There's a really great program with the Swiss. They do work with almost all of the major museums and art repatriation and provenance agreements. They really are one of the best.
And like, they're taking notes, and there's, in the end, by the time you're like out, you're at the edge of the parking lot, right? Lucky is, you can see him like just around the bend. I'm basically
doing the front and follow, so like I'm moving ahead because I know where she's going and she knows where I'm going, and I'm just moving ahead so it doesn't look like I'm following her, but I can also just see whether or not she's still got stragglers, right? So it's like a
so that's it. Yeah, by the time you're almost out of the parking lot, there's one last straggler, a young woman who asks you if you would be available to come like give either like a lecture or a presentation or like talk about what you do at the school. Like, she can put you in touch with the administration because she does like a bit of work on the side for the school.
Well, here's my card. I'll answer. Probably would be an evening would be better. I have a lot of meetings during the day, you understand. But an evening class, maybe. And we can talk. Have yourselves a wonderful night.
Thank you. And like, she has trouble taking her eyes off of you as she walks backwards. It's very awkward. It's very Zoe Deschanel. Like, cute but awkward. And then eventually she manages to break eye contact, and you can see in her silhouette, like once she doesn't see you anymore, that the awe drops, and there's just a like that the person probably doesn't even understand why their shoulders dropped or why their posture suddenly became more relaxed. But yeah.
Then she'll walk up to she'll drop awe, and she's gonna walk through the shadows up to Lucky and go, so, what are we looking up?
Well, no, first, and just like, I don't think you try to check a place that if you were just like walking around, you wouldn't see them, like kind of a little bit tucked out of the way, so you can have a little bit of privacy. How did your investigations go?
And at that, she switches to can't, because doesn't matter. Well, good news, no weirdling. Bad news, evidence that probably
Weirdling?
there's... Yeah, I want to make sure I don't mess this up this time. And how would we describe...
Artie never told
Yeah.
Lucky about this. He doesn't know
The
So-
Kaisid?
Yeah, like I said. I want to make sure I just... You know, there was... The magics on Dorchester Square are aggressive to the point of perhaps there was a caster. And we don't need those. Or even a changeling. That would be worse.
What did you see?
So when an individual comes running into the square screaming their head off, usually there's there might be one or two people that actually are concerned about them and respond. There might be a cop presence that might respond. But even if there's not, there's usually going to be somebody to turn, look, and comment on the crazy or avoid them. These are natural behaviors that all kind process, particularly in urban environments. It makes them slightly easier to hunt. These are important things to know. How much time have you spent in cities?
Enough.
All right. Standard kind behavior. It's whatever. That didn't happen. That means there was also already observed the actual magics preventing that. Therefore, something is going on. He was concerned about certain individuals being in the city, so I went to somebody that I knew that would perhaps be aware. She doesn't believe they are. I believe that she's correct, which leads to either the Inquisition having more magics than in the city than expected, not improbable, but not impossible, but merely improbable. They like to blow things up more than they like to play around with magics. Or there's a really old Samich that survived, also not improbable. They like to dig into the ground. There was one that survived Nagasaki. Did you know that?
No. Artie's in his kick again, you know? He thinks everything's all... Val's here, everyone's here. He's in that space where... he's in a space.
Just because he's paranoid doesn't mean they aren't out to get him.
Come to hear of it, I mean, also, change, like, everything's out to get him. It's probably a bit too much.
He is a Samich. They usually are.
Okay.
So, let's flip this on the tail. There are certain behaviors that are ingrained in certain clans. Smeech, well, they like to draw attention to themselves. There's this whole thing where they're dragons and they're better than everyone. Whatever. You know the stories, right? Old folk tales, stories about dragons. What always happens when a dragon settles in a valley?
Some sort of group of dwarves and someone with a ring come and kill them?
No, that's Tolkien.
Oh.
Good, but I'm talking about, Siegfried or
Oh.
George, if you want to talk about the English.
No, but somebody slays the dragon, right?
Somebody, great hero, always comes, slays the dragon in their hall because, the dragon is a threat.
Yeah, but those are stories told by mortals to make themselves feel better. I imagine in real life the dragon just sits there forever.
Or until a bunch of inquisitors and hunters come together and when daylight is occurring and kill the dragon during the daylight. Or perhaps a bunch of frickin' Ventru cause problems because fuck them. Or, the Tremere decide that this particular Smeech might have the blood power that they need for whatever weird fucked up shit the Tremere think is appropriate at the time. All myth has some basis in fact. How much? How irrelevant? That's all. Whatever. Just because he's paranoid doesn't mean they aren't out actually to get him.
All right, everything he says is true. We're all going to die next week because Val's going to come and suck us all dead. If that's the case, I'm just going to go and live my life. I can't go and worry about his end of the world, especially if he's right and it's all coming next week. I don't have time to worry about that. That's not a thing I can think about.
Welcome to the Ravnos world. This is how we live. Fuck everything and we're going to be fine. Look.
We won't be fine, but I just don't see the point in it.
You take reasonable precautions. You make sure that you pay attention. You don't inherently deny his argument just because you think he's crazy.
I don't say anything to him because have you met him?
Yes, for a very long period of time. He's not actually crazy. To be fair, London was not my fault. Budapest might have been, but I felt vindicated by that because that was all about fucker asshole.
I don't know anything about those places.
Oh, that's right. You don't. Okay.
Not the point. What did you learn about I know you were going off to go and try to find out, to meet up with that fellow and
Oh, Joey! I made him rethink all of his life choices and make him call his mother, crying. Whoever gave Joey True Witnesses a plant.
Well, yeah, I mean, we knew that, right?
No, I mean a true plant. I mean, this whole bullshit about Lucky breaking and entering, or not Lucky, sorry, that's Prax's mistake. Joey breaking and entering. No, he goes in to break into the apartment. The individual whose apartment this is sees him coming up the stairs and gets so frightened and hands him enough weed so that he can get high, $40, and this single DVD disc that he's going to sell. No, he got rolled.
Well, I mean, I was saying already in the beginning, this doesn't make any sense, that if this really were, that the only reason, if some sort of kind had this, this would have been sold to more than one person. This has just been dropped on us as clearly some sort of bait or a message. If this really were what it seems like it is, this would have gotten out by now. The fact that it's so encrypted that only, this is obviously, all of this ties back to this Mr. Vargas and somebody's fishing.
Now, there is one group of kind that this could be, considering all of them were there and they probably would have had video cameras because they're assholes and do that. The Inquisition showing up and selling this after the fact, that's not improbable and probably likely. More likely, however, it's one of us, one of the kindred who wishes to control and manipulate.
Because here's the thing, if it's not one of us, this would have gotten out to somebody besides just us. Because here's the thing, if you look at that video, right? That video was taken during the Night of Ashes, which means whoever did it was maybe a police officer or an inquisition of some sort. Was not true witness, I do not think. Unless true witness is hanging out in crypts with the Inquisition, which does not seem to be the case. So somebody had it, encrypted it, and passed it along. If this were not somehow targeted, this would have gotten out to more than just one person. This would have gotten to quite a few people, but it hasn't. It's only just sitting here as a threat. So this is definitely somebody who's on the inside, who has a vested interest, who knows about our masquerade and has a vested interest and knows that we'd be triggered into trying to keep it and investigate and all of this. This is clearly some sort of, if this were legitimate, this would be out already. Just like the other one was, from the Kine.
We're not disagreeing with you. We're just saying we don't know who exactly which one of us is doing this. Now, Val doing it? Possible. It's not usually her style. There's not enough blood involved. Now, if, the individual that Joey found this on was ripped to shreds and then artfully arranged in their own home, more likely.
Did you get the address?
Oh, yes, we can go over there after this. I did get the address. I don't know what it is, but I got the address.
Yeah. Of the apartment that little Joe went to. Yeah.
It could be also tied to either... So there's the option that the person going around attacking the houseless are an embrace and dump, or it's somebody intentionally drawing attention like Mr. Vargas, in which case, 3 for 3 for drawing attention. I feel like we've got a fucked up Cam in house. Or a very old Samich who wants to murder us, who survived the Sabbat. One of those two things. We'll find out. Let's go inside.
I've got to go to a different library as well.
Which one?
There's a CGIP I want to go to. Also, then maybe
Is
a
it
high
the one
school.
that we had to hide your presence from?
No, a different one. That was a different one.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So I've got some research to do. You can help. Look, you said something a while ago, and I feel like people have forgotten it, because what you said was very smart. You said that it looked to you like somebody was trying to pit us against each other in the city.
Yes.
So it seems to me, especially what we've got here is 2, 3 threatened masquerade breaches? That says to me, pit us against each other so that we'll all be ready when somebody comes in to take over. We might even ask them.
Like I said, it sounds like somebody wants to bring the Cam.
Which
I hate
don't
Ventru.
think-
I really do.
Okay. Do you know a lot of Ventru?
Define no, as she starts walking towards the entrance of the library.
And we're gonna take a break on that. Stick around, everyone. We'll be back in a couple of minutes. Find yourself a Kine, pop open the neck, drink up, and we're gonna be right back.
Hawaiian punch.
Yep. Yep. See you in a few. Hello. Sorry about that. Was searching something in the book. We are back, everyone. And we are inside the library.
As she was walking in, Flori undid the gather around. She left the headband in, but she pulled it out, and so that her hair was down. And adjusted, made little adjustments. So she now looks even young. She looks younger, as if she actually would be a student here.
And he goes, so, I'm looking for a couple things. First, for our project, not here. We'll have to go over to the other place, but this
you
is
can
the
just say it, right? Because no one can understand what we're saying in this cant.
But Lucky doesn't like to just blurt things, even if you're speaking cant. He doesn't just like to blurt things out because he's a lot of secrets that people found out they'd kill him. So he likes to be subtle and not spread info around all the time. And he says, our project, I got a bit of a tip. Our witness friend, he went to high school.
Yeah, I was there. I got that tip.
Yeah, so we can go and look up school yearbooks and such. Find out, try to identify who he hangs out with.
Flori will kind of as she's walking through the library, she'll smile at the security guard and wave,
He barely acknowledges that you're there. You're at night.
Yeah, but at the same time, it's one of those, it's a lot easier if you smile and wave at the security guard, then you're not.
Oh, yeah, he knows you're there, so he can safely ignore you from now on.
Exactly. You do all of that, but as Flori will kind of lean over and not quite link arms with Lucky. She's holding her purse, which is a slightly oversized bag, and it looks more like a tote bag because it kind of goes with the bohemian chic thing that she's got going. And she looks at you and she goes, calling it a project and winking and nodding draws more attention than just saying the research that we're going to be doing might want to tend to one place. Just saying it draws less attention. Just a thought.
And since we're in Canton, no one can understand. Yeah, so the person I murdered the other day.
Yeah, okay.
I'm not going to do that. And he goes.
No.
Anyway,
I said the can't and she's not saying excuse me. I messed up. No. Saying the project. Wink, wink. Nod, nod. Nudge,
I didn't
nudge.
wink.
You did. You winked. You tilted your head.
You hear the voice of the librarian going, shh.
Sorry. Oh, do you have the do we need to talk to you about the microfiche? Or can we get those ourselves?
She points to the computers.
Not everything is on a computer. A large chunk of it's on microfiche still.
So sad.
No, she just points to the computer. You can search the entire inventory of the libraries in there.
Okay, but I don't have to come to you to ask you to get the microfiche. I can just pull it myself. Great, thank you. Have a nice night.
Lucky sits down at one of the computers.
Goes back to her iPad.
Yeah.
So I don't think we'll find anything about our friend here, but I'm looking. I want to look at the maps program. Yeah, the satellite maps.
Mm-hmm. What about it? What do you need?
I'm looking for a house with a dooryard. No, I think it's not the front, it's the back. With a fountain. So I want to search the area for a bit to see if I can find a house with a fountain.
You know, it'd be faster instead of that. City planning.
It's kind of late.
No. That's why I asked about the microfiche. They keep all of the city plans for important things like public works, like, water pipes. If you have a fountain, you have to have a water system.
Yeah. So that's what I'm looking for. A house with a fountain in their backyard.
Okay. Do we know generally where? Because that's going to be a lot easier to narrow down.
Well, it can't be too far from Dorchester Square. But probably not as close.
What exactly is this house?
I don't know. A clue?
A clue to what?
Not one of our group projects.
Okay. Like, because she doesn't know anything about that conversation that you had.
And he doesn't want to say it here. You know what I mean?
No.
Even though we've got the can't, but
Oh, she doesn't. She's not pushing you on that. It's not really. All right. So she's going to start going through this archive, pulling up Google Maps of Dorchester Square and the surrounding, let's say, 6 blocks in every direction.
Mm-hmm.
And then she's also going to try and get historical maps, which the library would keep track of, going back, because, city planning, 5, 10, 20, and 50 years for that same space.
I've got a...
Make a, well, wait, I'll wait for Lucky. I want to see what Lucky does in the meantime, and then I'll...
I'm helping.
Okay.
I don't know who has the bigger pool, but he's good at research, so he wants to sort of help with the research.
Okay. Then that check will be...
So I got academics.
Intelligence and academics. And if you can help, Lucky, if you have at least 1 point in academics, then you can...
Can I do investigation instead of academics?
I would say not really, because you're just researching info, whereas investigation is more like searching physically a place.
Okay, well, I don't have academics, so I think you should do the roll then.
Okay.
And I wish I could help, but I don't have any. I've got investigation and...
You're good at crime scenes, I imagine.
Among other things.
And asking people stuff. 3 out of 2?
So one thing...
3 successes.
Yeah. One thing you notice in your research is that past 10 years ago, there's not a whole lot to be had. Fire at the town hall, things go missing left and right. You need a lot more effort to find what would amount to
pretty basic,
mundane information. Yeah, and it's frustrating, to say the least.
Yeah.
No, but even Google Maps. I mean, Google Maps works, but Google Map in your case,
with Google Maps, we're just gonna get the present.
Google Map, you're never gonna get prior to. Oh, you cannot go beyond 2005 with Google Maps, but I think here in Montreal it was after 2005 that it started.
Yeah, but even with Google Maps, you can't go back to historical maps. They don't save them.
Yeah, but you can get maps from like a couple of years ago, which is good enough because the Night of Ashes was 2 years ago. So we can probably get satellite maps from like 4 years ago.
Yeah.
Yep.
5.
It's it's like available, and you can see 5 years to today what it was, Dorchester Square and around. And
I'm thinking about the map that I saw and like trying to overlay it to think, well, maybe around here would be where it was, right? If this was this entrance that I know, and that's where the fountain was, I probably need to look north or look south. Or
so you start looking into
backyards.
The area around. There are no backyards within 5 or 6 blocks.
So just like scoot out.
With the successes you got, you know that one, the map that you received, with the like overlay of the cathedral, the temple. That part of the house with the fountain can be anywhere on the island. But it probably connects through some other... Like, you'll find that house, you'll find an entrance, but that entrance will eventually lead to something, that will lead to something, that will lead to... and eventually get there.
Mm-hmm.
It is a sound entrance. But it is nowhere near Dorchester Square. You notice also with your research that 2 years ago, there were important work done in the entire Mansfield Peel block. So basically, it would be 2 blocks on the street.
Mm-hmm.
One of which is the square. The other is next to it. Like, even you can see that the biggest cinema movie theater that we have in Montreal, which is right behind Dorchester Square, is like, you have like these like orange cones blocking part of the sidewalk, and these big like plywoods sectioning off portion of the street, to the point where like a lot of people are like, traffic is just relegated to one sidewalk. There's no car traffic. Like, there was a lot of work that was done that seemed to all have been like aqueducts or maybe sewers.
But after the Night of Ashes?
Yeah, it started a little bit before, as in a couple of days.
Like getting ready. I just point this out to Flurry.
Yeah, like 2 days before the Night of Ashes, cones were placed.
Mm-hmm.
At least as far as you can find, 2 days is the date.
Mm-hmm.
And then afterwards, digging in the street didn't happen until the Night of Ashes.
Mm-hmm.
There's another thing you notice with
So,
3 successes.
Wait, can I ask this?
Mm-hmm.
Does it show who was doing this digging in the street?
Mm-hmm.
Was it tied? Because
it's the city.
That's not what I'm asking.
Okay.
Because is it electrical? Is it water? Is it gas? Each of those are going to have different types of data.
We don't have gas. And it's not electrical, because that would be Hydro-Quebec. If it's the city, that's why I said it's either aqueducts or sewers.
Okay, I'm sorry. I must have missed that part.
It's, we don't have, well, especially now in 2022, it's now, I think people have like 2 years to get rid of. But like, you, on the island, you will no longer be able to even have like gas ovens unless you're an actual restaurant. Yeah, wow. It's fire hazards all over, and they went like draconian with it.
I think sort of like when Florey sort of notes those cones, I think then, just a little bit of zooming out to see what we can find other places where those cones might be, because we know that one, but if that's like, that could be like a sign where they sort of place those up there, so there might be other places.
Yeah, there are dozens of other places, but it being Montreal, with your successes, I can tell you, it's probably just like, there's never another place where there is work of such a size, like multiple city blocks. It's going to be like one intersection, and they're probably just redoing pavement, or another place they're probably just redoing like a rainwater sewer that like rusted through or whatever, or like, it's always like smaller things. It's everywhere, because there is never a moment on the island throughout the year where there are no orange cones. There is never a moment where all the streets are actually navigatable. Like, you'll always have parts of the island that are just shut down for construction. But that looks suspicious. With 3 successes,
And like
Nah,
came
it's-
out at the same time, you know what I mean? Like, because if they're going to get the front entrance, they're probably going to try to get the back entrance, that sort of a thing, if they know one.
With what you're saying, I can tell you that nah, you can't find anything with what you have. What you do find, the other thing that I would give you for 3 successes, is the fountain on your map. The style and the size and the shape matches exactly the fountain that's in Dorchester Square.
But 2 years earlier, if we go back to maps that are before the Night of Ashes, there was no house there because that's Dorchester Square. Yeah?
Yeah, no, there was no house, but it means that the house you're looking for owns an
Might be
exact copy of the same fountain.
I'll say, how big is that, by the way?
The fountain? Huge! If I look very quickly, I would say, okay, here's a car. It's 1, 2, 3, 3.5 cars long. So let's say 3 cars long to account for. So you're talking about what, 30 feet of in diameter? Now the one that's in Dorchester Square is cut in half. It's a half circle. But the one you have on the map is a full circle, so it would be sizable. Like, it's not just anyone's backyard.
So this is so that what that does is Flory would say this shifts the size of the property.
Yeah. So as a person who's lived here for a while and has visited for decades, the skill does not exist in this game, but it does in some other games. Area knowledge, like knowing the city, like which parts of the island have houses that have estates that have that large of a.
That
backyard.
I would say you would be looking at streetwise.
And I think that Flory is better at this one. Because you have streetwise, yes? You do. Flory has streetwise.
You're muted.
I have streetwise. I have
Yes.
streetwise.
And you've been driving around looking for places to park your RV.
You
And-
have been driving around.
You'll say, this is a pretty big.
Would also probably be somebody that would draw attention because this is an amount of money. This is a large private property.
See what neighborhoods. He says that, but I'm passing the role to you.
Okay, so streetwise.
And I cannot help you because I do not have that skill because
Wits.
In this case, it would be intelligence.
Okay.
Actually, intelligence or resolve. You choose.
It's the same.
Uh-huh.
I cannot aid.
You have no rank in
Streetwise? No, Lucky's more of a small town guy. Got
2
points
successes.
2 points
just
in
a
survival.
small time guy.
Just a small town vamp.
So you're right, Flory. There's just about no one who could own such a thing. You look like your first reflex is to look at Westmount and the rich parts of town. You've got Google Map. It doesn't take long for you to notice that like a lot of them have like giant pools, but none of them have such a fountain. Even those like houses that want to appear colonial. Or not colonial, but like, you know, the
Georgian, yeah.
Yeah. What you would have in like the Great Gatsby. Nah,
But
they don't.
She's sitting there going, well, this would be very odd to have a private property to have a fountain this big in this city. It would be such a drain in the cold weather because it would, winterizing your pipes. Picture winterizing that shit.
You do find, because it's kind of odd, but still, one of the rich houses, they have like a merry-go-round in their backyard. Like, sure, instead of a pool, like everyone has a pool, they have a merry-go-round. So you look at then who would probably own enough wealth to afford such a thing. And the answer, with your roll, points you to the church. That house
is a abbey?
Could be a Presbyterian. A presbytery, sorry. Presbytery.
I was like, oh, because we're dealing with the Presbyterians. I'm
no.
Florrie be like,
a presbytery.
We're not. You can deal with them. I'm not. They won't murder me for being a vampire. They'll hang me for being a witch, and I don't deal with the Presbyterians. So it's just like, all right. So it's a presbytery, which means to shift the entire size of this. Who has? She'll start looking at an abbey, a convent, a basilica. She's looking for large church properties, not parish churches, but
I mean
shrines.
the most obvious would be, the basilica that's right across the street from Dorchester, but then why would they have like the exact, and no, by the way, no, they do not have the same fountain at the basilica that's across the street. No, you actually find your fountain up on the mountain. It's by the oratory. The St. Joseph's Oratory. And the house that you were looking at is it's part of like a block of like housing for priests and
like the seminary and
the seminary. Yeah. So it's because in my mind, seminary is the school. Okay, yeah. So it's the same in English. No, and it's been kind of changed lately in the last few years. Into where is it? Where's that? It's a historical landmark. No, that's not the historical landmark. It's not what I'm looking for. There you go. The Brothers of Charity.
Oh, the Brothers of Charity. Oh, Florrie's like, how do you feel like a kindness on the world and, just a mild religious murder? Just a mild one.
Let's take notes.
Okay.
But
then she's like, no, we can't do that.
Once we get out of here. And I think we'll probably just head to the siege up, because the last bit he wants to get before they go back to see if they can find Artie is to see if they can connect Ezekiel to who might be Steve, who might be this true witness QC through looking at who he was, in school around the same time with.
Yep.
And I can do academics, and I would love a.
You would have to you have to change location.
Yes.
That's why we have a car.
But, yeah.
We're doing some traveling.
You drive up north. Get to the CJEP. CJEP, as opposed to university, or a library, they close at like 10.
I'm sorry, what? Did you say that it's closed? I can't hear you.
That's what I said. Legally, the place is closed, is all I'm saying.
Oh, I'm doing a breaking and entering.
If that is what you want, I cannot... Actually, probably even statistically speaking, because of the points you have, I cannot stop you.
Before we do, because like when we're in the car, right?
Yeah.
When we're in the car, it's like, so look, I've got a side project. I'm gonna go and this whole this video.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's still in my mind, and still upset you said something about Hetty being there to the rest of them. They don't need to know, like, that's dangerous. But she was down there. And if she was down there, I want to know why. So I'm going to find my way down there. And I saw a map, an old map of the temple, different entrances. There's an entrance in Dorchester Square. I think that's easier to get into, which makes me suspicious of it. There's still something, an echo.
I'm sorry, rewind. What?
I'm going to go down to where that video was filmed to see if there's anything left.
Do you have a plan?
I'm going to go down to where the video was filmed to see if there's anything left.
No, I meant, do you have a plan for how you're breaking into property owned by the church, how you're going to get in, get out, how you're not going to draw attention to us and or anyone else? Do you have any plan for if the fact that the walls have been collapsed? What about if the fact that they bombed the shit out of it and, you know, you need to move things, which would draw attention to yourself? Have you figured out whether or not you're going to consider the fact that there's probably traps still in place? Have you planned anything?
Yeah, I'm going to, well, that's first if we're doing research, right? To see about the secondary.
I would have changed our entire approach if we had mentioned that we're breaking and entering into the play, you know, a stronghold of the Sabbat.
Well, most likely there's going to be nothing left there, all collapsed. There's option A, but I wanted to do the research on this secondary area because I thought that might be a less well-seen entrance. But for the other one, it's an abandoned building. You just put in overalls and take a ladder, just walk on in. It's abandoned. That shouldn't be too difficult. But I wanted to see a less central entrance.
We're breaking into the church. We're breaking into a stronghold of the Sabbat. You don't have any plans or know anything about what was down there before it got blown up. You have no idea about any traps, concerns, anything that was existing when it happened before it got destroyed?
Well, according to Art, all of death will be in there.
Yes!
Yeah, I'm going to go and check it out.
I want to duly note it, this is not the Ravnos' fault. Not my fault. I don't care. I don't care. I'm not getting blamed for this shit. This is on you.
Okay. Also,
if you triggered the apocalypse again, it's on you. If you trigger a nuclear bomb, it's on you. If you get your entire blood volume sucked out by stepping on a Sabbat trap and then causing a resurrection of a fifth generation Samich, that's on you.
Okay. The Inquisition's been all through there already. I don't think there'll be much. I just want to see the place if we could even get in there. Just a little bit of spelunking.
The Inquisition, they're not stupid, but they're not as intelligent as they like to think they are. There are vast periods of time in our history where they're very much of the... Did you ever see the Indiana Jones movie?
Oh,
the first one, Raiders of the Lost Ark.
That was it the 1980s?
Yes. It was actually kind of enjoyable, you know?
I think I was in Chile at the time. I didn't see it.
You've had 30 years. It's a great film. What do you mean you haven't seen it?
I haven't seen it.
Nazis getting their entire soul sucked out? It was really great. Melting faces, the whole bit. But admittedly, that's kind of basically what Samich did. No, so the point is, the Inquisition is like the U.S. federal government in that movie. They collect things that they don't know what to do with, they have no ability to understand, and they have no control over, and they put them in places all together with a box. So you have all of these things that they don't know what to do with, and they have no control over, and they have no idea of how they interconnect. And you know what? It causes shit to go wrong. I would like to point out again that certain things that happened in a certain place, in a certain monastery that may or may not have gotten blown up because a bunch of Brits decided that the Germans were there and they weren't really there, although they like to claim that they were there. No, they weren't. It was a thing. And the bigger reason for why there was so much mass destruction is because somebody decided to light off a bomb with a bunch of, Tremere blood curses still active. Never a good thing. And since this is a Sabbat city, that's like 10 times worse.
The whole place is probably collapsed. But
yes, the whole place is probably collapsed because they probably rigged it to collapse. This is what I'm saying. The Sabbat isn't stupid. The minute this went off, the whole place probably collapsed in such a way that it was ensured that they could get back in.
Well, we saw video of them in there, so we know that there were people running around, running about in there already, and it seems like they were somewhat effective. So I imagine it's been picked clean and not much is left. But I at least want to see. But that's a side project. The first project is to find out Steve.
Fine.
It seems so less important.
Steve is very important.
No, it's just because of the name.
No.
Steve, Chairman Steve.
Look.
And it's a Steve with 2 E's, by the way.
Yeah, Steve. I wrote it down that way.
Yeah, okay. Well, I assume Steve has 2 E's. It's Steven has a PH. Stefan has an A. Three
E's.
Yeah.
So we can bring this back. You know that Artie is speaking to Diana and Caleb?
Good. They should know about things.
Should they?
Yes. Look, there's a certain level of operational security you need to maintain. I don't need to tell them about everything I'm going to do as I murder a person. That's excessive. But if I need to tell them that there's a possibility that a Samish that buried themselves in the ground and didn't die, yes.
Is there?
Yes.
I mean, there's a possibility that all the Sabbat are still alive having a tea party. We don't have any evidence for any of this.
We don't have any evidence that they don't. So you plan for the worst case scenario and then you go from there.
Okay, so the worst case scenario is that Kane himself is just waiting for us and will eat us immediately. We can just go.
I would like to introduce you to a small thing called the Week of Nightmares.
I don't know what that is.
My progenitor was brought back from existence. Forcibly brought back from existence. Fuck you, Tremere. It's all your fault. And then decided to, because of this and the way this happened, suck all of the blood from the entire line of Ravnos. We have 1% of the population left of the entire clan. You want to know how we're still alive? Because we hung out with all of our mortal relatives. And you want to know what will happen if I sleep in the same place for more than a week? Same square mile for more than a week.
What?
Literally, the sun will emulate me from the inside out. It'll be great, wouldn't it?
That's
terrible. Yes, Kane exists. It's a possibility that will come and actually suffer. We will all suffer. Would you like to acknowledge the fact that this is going to be a problem?
I find it very unlikely that Kane is in Dorchester Square.
Nobody knows where the fuck he is. That's the problem.
I'm not worried about Kane.
No, but also, Kane is, depending on what your upbringing was, Lucky, Kane might not be the original vampire.
Yeah, Kane is just some old folktale that all the other vampires out there believe in.
Yeah, it might be the father, the All Father, but yes, Hawkeye, Kane as in Abel's brother, the first murderer was cursed 3 times by God.
Lucky just picked up that all those outsider vampires seem to all upset about it. You know what I mean? They seem to be all...
I would like to also point out that there are rumors that he's a taxi driver and just bums around and says shit to people.
Now you're just making things up.
Anyway.
In various cities. So
by this time you reached the siege
is also a problem.
So
yes.
And should we come back tomorrow when it's up?
No, let's do this now. It's breaking and entering. It's fine. I can do this in my sleep, literally.
Oh, okay. Do you want me to stand watch?
Stick with the car. All we need is the yearbook. We know exactly how old Ezekiel was, right?
Yep. 17.
So we would know what year he graduated. Which is the only yearbook I need to worry about.
Get 4 on either side, just in case Steve is older or younger.
2 on either side. 4, he wouldn't hang out together.
Okay, I'll just wait here.
Cool. she'll
I
pull.
imagine they're in his truck because it's
They're
just
in
a
the
little bit
truck?
less.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was less obvious
Yeah.
because she did park that.
Yeah.
So she gets out. She leaves the bag. She takes the lockpicks. She puts them in her hair. And her hair is really long. Like, I think this is the first time, Lucky, you've seen her hair all the way down. It goes to her hips.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I'll be back shortly.
And like he lets you go because he knows you're an expert at this, and like he is not going to get in the way of like
So
an expert.
I'm going to ask for 2 checks.
Okay.
One is going to be
Break-in?
the break-in and everything around it, you know, how careful you are and blah, 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 and the security and all that. And the other one will be how quickly you find the information you're looking for. Basically, what I'm looking at here is if you have a high, in this case, would be investigation because you're stealing the books from the shelves. If you have a high investigation but a low larceny, then you might find the info very quickly, but will have tripped something in return. Whereas if it's the opposite,
But instead of larceny, I can use my specialization in break-in.
yeah, it adds to your
No, which is in stealth.
Yeah, actually, it would be stealth in this case, stealth and larceny, because you're not just picking a lock.
No.
So yeah.
3 successes.
Okay. And then the research or the investigation, I should say.
All right. Which one? Which
Um,
others?
You've got 3 successes, so I'll give you a choice. Wits if you want to do it quickly. Intelligence if you think you have the time. Right now, since you have a choice, it means that you're confident that you have some measure of time.
Yeah, and I have the lockpick skills, which I should have also. I have the lockpicks, which I should have.
Can you just roll an extra d10 just to see?
Yeah. I should have added that. I
Nah,
added
no
the
problem.
specialization. Oh, so 4 successes.
So 4 successes. So then in this case, you know you have the time, so you can go with intelligence if you want.
Mm-hmm. I'm gonna go with wits because it's higher.
No problem. You're better at doing it fast.
3 successes.
Yeah, you get the so the yearbooks are basically all like on the
Yeah, they're
same
organized.
shelf, and they're all organized by year. People normally just like will look it up to make photocopies of like the one page of like their parent or whatever, or like otherwise it's just there to gather dust. But you pick. Do you actually look at them, or you just pick them from the shelf and leave with them?
She's gonna grab and quickly open the year for Ezekiel.
Okay. You flip through the pages. Of course, they're all organized by
Last name
and also like what they graduated in, like what we would consider their major. So you have to go like every time to like the L and look up, is there an Ezekiel in this class? Is there an Ezekiel in this class? No, I have it in this part instead, I do believe. Well, you're gonna have a face now because you are going to.
Cool. So she'll, if they're like, that was what she's looking for. She's looking for Ezekiel and then any Steves that would have been in classes, you know, maybe not necessarily in his major, but also in any like things that might have had class overlap.
So they went to. Sorry, I'm still trying to find it. Yes, they were in communication. They were in communication. So like It's like a site of like media and art and whatever. You find Steve as like not a person who graduated, but like it's like a section of the we remember them because they were here for like 3/4 of the like they did almost all the semesters, but ended up not graduating. But they're like the friends of the friends, like the people's plus ones or whatever. But there's a picture of Steve, and even a message that like Zeke wrote for him, because everyone has like these little messages that you can ask people to put in. And basically, the message says like you couldn't last one more semester, guy. And yeah, there he is. A man by the name of Steve Langlois. Let me copy paste that in Zoom for y'all.
Cool, Langlois. She takes a second and takes her phone. Takes the picture of the page with Steve and the name.
He is in our Legend Keeper, by the way, he's True Witness QC.
Okay.
If you're looking for him, like he's in the T's, not the S's.
Thank you.
But you see him, so basically he's
oh, like that mustache beard thing. That's creepy as hell.
Yes. So Steve is a fairly well-built gentleman. A bit older than Zeke, though. So you think he might have like taken classes, like redid classes, or shit, how do we call that again? When you have to redo a year in high school.
Held back?
Yeah, he was held back. Because he's clearly probably a good 5 years older than Zeke. Curly, brown hair. The guy is probably half or a quarter Latino, maybe. You notice just by the skin tone, by the facial features, and he's hanging out with like locking arms with not locking arms, but like arm over the shoulders of him and Zeke together. And there's like a third person that's like half cut off by the picture, because they probably couldn't be bothered to find another picture of them together. But yeah, you get the name, you get the face.
She takes the picture, takes it, puts the book, closes it, puts the book back, puts the phone in her bag, makes her way back out, making sure she doesn't trip any of the alarms or anything. And as she goes, she just has this little glint in her eye where she has this thought about how she could make this hilarious. But no, she's fine. She just closes the door and walks away because she is a professional. And I think because she got the name, that I think she's succeeded on that bestial fail point.
Oh, yes. Yeah, you broke and entered, you threatened the guy, you broke another guy's face.
Yeah, but I didn't actually, I wish she would. That's stuff she does to avoid having a penalty.
Yeah, but I mean, you did all of that, because your beast was pushing you to do it. Now you have his identity, and where you thought you would feel some sort of surge of hunger or hatred, the beast sort of backed off. Like, nah, you got it, it's cool. Maybe we should do something.
Yeah. I think it's one of those is like, she has that thought, but at the same time, there's also the underlying of, maybe I'm thinking about this because Lucky is really pushing this envelope even further than I would. I don't know. And Jill's like running thought in her head of like, maybe I should call Giordani and ask him if all of Hetty's childer are this lack of awareness of, history and potential violence against them or others, dangers of our kind. And then she'll like get in the truck, make her way in, get in the truck. All right, we're good to go.
You're muted, Trooper.
Did you get it?
Yeah, and what we needed was the information. I didn't need the actual book.
Good. So at least we can tell Artie we've got info, and then that'll be good. Shall we? Shall I text him to see if he's around?
I already did.
Oh.
You're driving. Don't text and drive. That's a bad idea.
Also, I'd have to stop. It takes a while.
This is why speech to text exists.
No, my phone doesn't have that.
Yes, it does. If you press this button, see this one that's marked right here, the star, if you press and hold it, this will speech to text. It's an accommodation that they built in for people with disabilities.
Oh, I didn't know that. I always kept doing the...
We can get you a new phone.
Yeah, Deirdre, where were you 10 years ago?
Teaching high school.
No, I like my phone. You sort of perspective of this, it's like probably like a Razor, like a Razor flip phone that he's kept working, and he will drive heading out towards Artie's.
Yeah, Flory texts Artie, and just says, "Name achieved. Target acquired."
Where actually is Arthur when he receives this message? Because that's at least a good hour after your meeting at the jungle.
He's back at his haven. He's been busy. A lot of the drywall has been cut. Revealing the support beams to the house. There's a number of very old texts just gathered up around, open to different symbols, and a very specific song is playing over the speakers. And that is Nina Simone's Sinnerman.
That's one I know.
As he's gotten himself the silver wire, and he's wrapping the supports.
If I remember correctly, your knife and your bunch of nails. Well, the nails you have, but the knife will arrive in 2 nights.
Mm-hmm. As he's doing his remodeling, and he's huffing as he's doing this, just going. He's looking at his phone as he ties off the last bit of wire, at least for this work. Sees the message, just sends back excellent, and then lingers a bit. Hits contacts. And starts going to... There's just in all caps, "Don't do this," on a contact. And he lingers on that for a while.
Who's this contact of yours?
Arthur was the money man. in Miami. In order to be the money man, you have to have ties to the Archbishop. And if anyone would know where Val is right now, or would have possibly the names of his clan that were up here, it would be them. But that would involve doing a favor. A bigot. And as those notes on the piano keys ringing out over the speakers, it's real tempting right now.
Yeah, but you know, Arthur, anything that you send out to Miami, if you're not pinging on Val's radar yet, the moment your name escapes the lips of anyone down there, you know she'll hear about it. Because she knew where you were. She knew who you were hanging out with. Hell, at this rate, I don't even know if the Archbishop isn't in her pocket already. I'm just saying. Might be your beast talking.
That's the rainy day scenario. There's another way to get the information I want. And as he sort of sighs at this really bad idea, grabs a coat, grabs a butcher's knife, a mason jar, large wooden ladle, old, and get in a car, a good beat up Olds, and
I have to ask something.
yeah,
Does it still have the ashtrays on the side, like on the arms?
Almost. This is a land yacht, of course it does. Yeah. Thing with islands is that water gets in everywhere underground. There's just permeation of the wet. And so drives up to the headwaters, hitting the island. Gets to the coast, collects some of that water in that mason jar.
Oh, well, you don't have to breathe, so never mind.
And then gets back out. It's gonna, with the butcher's knife, cut the back of his forearm, lead into the headwaters.
How big is your cut? Would you say enough to inflict potentially lasting wounds? Like that you would need a rouse check to heal afterwards, or we're just talking?
Yeah, no, I'm thinking of full health level. Yeah.
Okay, then yeah, I would say
I'll mark that.
Take that damage as you fill up this mason jar.
Mix it with those waters, and then all right. Shakes the mason jar. If you're down there, I hope you're the talkatives. As he gently pours this mixture back into the river.
I would like to know, as someone who doesn't necessarily know all the rituals by heart,
If
which one is
there
it?
is, if there's somebody that's bonded to the land, this is sort of a how you do
Hmm.
within the
Yeah, okay.
clan.
Because you want to, yeah, I see. Okay. I hadn't thought about the water. But yeah, it seeps everywhere. Let me make a note of this. 2 seconds. Okay. You wait a good... I think it's a solid 5 minutes. You're almost ready to not necessarily call it quits, but to figure that perhaps if someone was to answer, they'll answer like another night. Maybe it'll take some time for the blood to seep in, but there is just, after 5 minutes, there's this gust of wind that whips you across the face. Just a cold wind, something that, yeah, sure, you're by the water, probably by the Verdun beach. It's cooler, yeah, we're in August. But no, this was winter cold. There are no kine around, so you can't really see how this cold affects them. No one's shivering nearby. There's a few seagulls that take flight almost immediately. And you get the feeling that whoever sent this wind, that is probably the only thing you will get from them for a while. The wind felt like it was a sigh of extreme effort. Like a ghost trying everything to affect the world of the living just one more time.
All right. You take your time. I'll be listening. And before he leaves the beach, just on the edge where the water laps up against the ground, he's going to draw his personal heraldry. Right.
That's going to take a little while. I mean, it's heraldry, it's not just a signature. But while you're doing this, I think this is when you would receive your text message.
That's excellent. Just be careful of old ghosts.
If you send that, she'll send a response back. How would she phrase this? Oh, I know. Old ghosts, old crypts, new friends, old traps. Aren't I in for a wonderful night sometime?
Just come back in one piece.
I always do. And she'll then, and I think what we see is because Lucky's driving, you just see her texting this as she glances out of the side of her eye at Lucky as he's driving. And then there's just this long pause as she looks down and goes, I'll try and bring him back alive too.
And I think he just says to you, now remember, don't tell anyone about this. We don't need all the rest of them knowing this. This is private.
I don't tell people secrets.
Because we're going to go looking. Just in case. I don't want them knowing.
And as she flips through, and she's just texting, and she flips through on her, this is her personal phone, not the burner, to the contact for Zalmati going, so this might actually be Istanbul. I'll let you know when we get back out. And she sends that not to Artie, but to Zalmati. And then she just puts the phone away.
Yep, and we head towards Artie's.
Mm-hmm.
And with the truck speeding into the night.
Hold on.
Oh?
It's not speeding.
Okay, just driving into the night.
Lucky's driving. There's this moment
Lori
of
speeds.
Lori drives defensively. Because it's an important skill to have.
Lucky drives like he learned how to drive when cars did not go that fast.
And I think Flory will actually, like, as she finally puts the phone away in her bag, kind of lean over and go, if you take the time to take the defensive driving course, it will lower your insurance rates like 20%.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, I could lower my insurance 20%. That would be some.
You'd also have to learn how to introduce your foot to the accelerator.
Oh, he presses up to call back from the beginning. 35,
And we're not talking miles here, everyone.
No,
we're
talking
talking kilometers. Oof. Lucky, you are faster than a galloping horse.
I know I am. He goes like 2 kilometers below the speed limit. Like he's always just like,
ooh, you would go 48?
45.
Okay.
Let's not go wild. Let's not go wild. 45.
And even at night, with no one around in the streets, you will have people gluing your ass because you're going 5 under the limit.
Look, if I want to go fast, I'll just use celerity and do it on foot. These things, just saying.
I know, Kine tends to travel very slowly.
Yeah.
So we have, on the one hand, Arthur going back home. Probably his head full of questions about what just happened. And Lucky and Flory going to Arthur's, with their head filled with at least some answers as to what's been happening. And we will have to wait until next week to see where the last hours of the night will lead us. It is almost 3 a.m. by this time. But yeah, that's it for episode 7. 6. 7.
7.
I am lost. But But yes, thank you everyone for coming. Thank you.
Oh.
Thank you, chat. Thank you to all the raids, by the way. Thank you so much. Thank you for the subs. Thank you for the follows. Thank you for taking time off your Monday night to come watch this tale of vampiric conspiracies and weird things happening all over the island. And also of learning about Montreal culture.
That they don't have gas.
Yeah, there are gas lines, of course, but it's not as prevalent as in the States, for instance. It's weird, but you know, when you've had hydroelectricity, you know, not sponsored by the government, but government
Subsidies?
regulated, yeah. Well, it's not. Anyway, it's a governmental institution and not a private company.
Wait, I have a question. Does this mean that people who are just like regular average people do not have gas stoves?
No. It's a freaking luxury here to have a gas stove.
Talk about cooking in
I know I've been wanting to have one, but it is a big hassle because, you know, we got cheap renewable electricity, so we got so much, in fact, that we deserve like 4 other states in the States with it. Yeah.
Take that, Alberta.
I would also like to point out that there are certain states in the United States where gas is actually they're being shifted over to renewable resources because, you know, there's a whole shit ton of methane that comes out of those landfills. And it does actually work going through the gas line and can work for your gas stove. Just saying.
Apparently wood stoves are illegal in Montreal.
Yeah, you can no longer have them. It's been like that for a couple of years now. Weird, but let me see if I can find it very quickly. Since 2020, it is now forbidden to have. It's actually not just wood stove; it is any solid combustible stove. The only different, the only exception is let me.
So the general thing I'm hearing is don't expect barbecue in Montreal.
This is what I'm hearing.
We don't have real barbecue here for all of you in the States, especially in the southern states. We don't know what that is. Pellet stoves are still, but there were a lot of wood stoves because there's an enormous section of the island that's actually very, very old. And houses, yes, have been revamped. Their facing has been redone countless times. They've been modernized, but why would you change, you know, the old wood stove pipes going through the walls and all that? But something. Now, charcoal grilling, you're allowed because it's outside. If it is outside, you're fine. But if it is inside your home, you cannot. Though you cannot have a gas stove outside on the island. But you can have a fireplace outside if it is completely covered. Now that said, because of like zoning laws and all that, and because how small your backyard is, you probably will not be able to have a fire pit in your backyard on the island. But yeah.
Well, that's probably good for vampires, right?
Yeah, a George Foreman grill you're allowed outside. Basically, that's what we hear. Oh god, people will kill me. A charcoal grill and a George Foreman grill is what we call here barbecue. All right? Now, before you throw stones at me, let's do outros. Please. Players, tell us who you are, where we can find you. I don't have any questions for this week, so let's just go with the stars. Stars and the love. We'll start with Mr. Lucky, and we'll do the same order as we did the intros.
I'm Trooper SJP. Woo! And you can find me at Trooper SJP on the Twitch and also Academic Foxhole on the Twitter. And I played Lucky, who worries about self-preservation when it comes to information security, but not physical safety. Because, like, It's going to place. That said, my love. So I'm going to go and, all right. Ooh, this is tricky because I have different kinds of loves that I want to give, but they all sound different. Do you know what I mean? I'm going to start with Prax because that's easier than with Artie because I have different loves, but they feel different. Prax. I'm going to give love to Flory for Flory is on it. Do you know what I mean? Like Flory has an external persona of breeze and ease, but Flory is on it, right? Everything is calculated that Flory does. And I love how you can see it, how like every sort of like, oh, my hair is down. Oh, but this is here. And like, oh, but what if like all the things that seem like little throwaway things are not. They are all specifically, deliberately done to present a certain thing, to make certain things happen or not happen. Just like little things like saying hello to waving to the guard, asking the person about the microfiche, all those little things that are done to calculate, to sort of create a stage, right? To create a tableau. So well done. So well done. Like so many little details there that I love very much. Artie, I have two different things to say, and I'm going to just go with the easy one. The ritual. The ritual was so intense and so like, ooh, so intense. Loved it. But I'm going to give the other love to exposing Lucky's dark secret to like strangers. You like wheel and deal, like Artie wheels and deals in like these ways that are fascinating. He really has the vibe of like you know, like a bishop or a baron. He has that vibe of somebody who is in charge and a chess master, right? Moving pieces around. And it's interesting. Like he has this care about things, but he is not like, he's old. Do you know what I mean? Like he is old and removed from humanity in certain ways while still caring about it. Like he'll throw people under the bus. I know it. Like if he's got like a mortal over there that needs to die, that person will just die. Like there's like this kind of really interesting duality between the Artie who he was when he was all full on in Florida and the Artie who he wants to be. And like to see those different Arties moving are like care for people, but also not care for people at the same time. It's really cool. Those are my two loves. And love to Simon for teaching us that we can't have wood stoves in Montreal. Yeah. And you can find me next. On Sunday for Witcher Roads Home. That's my next RPG. That's it. And I'm passing it. Wait, I'm sorry. I did not do a good. I'm sorry. I messed up. And on Witcher Roads Home, which is on Sunday, one of the things that's really exciting is that there's great food in that RPG, and also it's got a really great GM. Prax?
Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate that wonderful layup right there. That works really well. Also, you're perfectly fine in that game at the moment. No, you did take damage. You took
like
damage.
2 points.
Yeah. You did not take as much damage as someone else. I'm sorry.
Someone. I don't know who that might be, though, Pope.
We'll get to that. But hey, everybody. I'm at Deirdre Donlan on Twitter, or your friendly neighborhood Prax, or Praxsquirth as my forays. See me around here on Twitch. And I get to be Flory, and I love every minute of this game. This is one of my favorite games of the week. I look forward to it every week. I love the dynamic that's kind of developing, and I love this moment of like how, and Trooper said this a couple weeks ago, like how each of us is very very much personifies the clans that we are, but at the same time in non-traditional or stereotypical manners. And I'm like, I love that, because you had this moment of, well, Flory didn't really care why you were looking this up until you're like, wait, this is a church. Why do you want to go here? Wait, this is literally the home of the Sabbat where they did shit? No, I don't want to go there. I'm not crazy. I did you not have? Oh, you were left alone as a child. I'm sorry, y'all weren't taught right. Don't go looking up dead Sabat. They're crazy motherfuckers.
They're the only faction that doesn't like hate me. Whatever, they seem fine.
I know other people who don't hate you. I just prefer not to. But so I love that. I love that whole conversation of like,
so good.
It's not. She's trying to like not lecture you, but at the same time point out like there are certain holes in your theory right now. And can we have a plan? Do you have a?
Yeah, he has a plan. Like we don't have to sneak in. We just walk in. If we have to go like point A, you just walk in. Point B, you'd have to come up with a different plan. But like point A, you just walk in.
No, we'll come back to that. And I loved every minute of Artie's 2 moments because I loved that ritual and I thought it was really well done. And so you saw the hesitancy in his doing it, but it's also like the commitment once it was begun.
Yeah.
That I thought worked really, really well. And the conversation with Diana and Caleb. I also loved that little moment of when Caleb's like, well, can I have Florrie's number? I think I might want to hire her. And Artie's like, you don't want to talk to her right now. She's in a place. I'm not sure it'll go well. Oh, it'll be fine. Like I was like, all right. It's
but
on
also
you.
There's no cam here to protect me. He's like, I don't care about the cam. Like I just like,
like none of us care about the cam. We don't need the cam. It's fine. Fuck the venture. Sorry, Florrie has opinions. We might find out about those opinions. I don't know. That might be later. But that was the love. I also loved Simon for all of the little character moments that he had going into this, playing off of us and going with it. It worked really well. But as for me, you can find me next on I might video game stream during the week. I don't know. That's a TBD. If you do want to see it, that'll pop up and it'll show up. You can find me next for TTRPGs on Saturday for a Song of Agapia's Fortune as things are getting very interesting. And we are actually, I realized in the last 3 weeks of the season, I can't math. We're in the last 3 sessions of the season, so that'll be very good. Very interesting things are happening. And then on Sunday for Witcher Roads Home, where, the druid is mostly fine. The mage is not in any more physical harm than he was when he entered the current location.
I mean, it was pretty awkward when Kadarn died that way, but like, oh, did you tell Simon?
No. I mean, he was fine when he walked in, and he's still in the exact same physical ability that he was. It's remember the abs give advantage.
That's true. The abs do give advantage. That's true. Actually,
and there was that's a whole thing. And so he had that going for him. The Witcher did take some damage, not a lot. Unfortunately, I'm gonna have to say that the dwarf took a shit ton of damage. Hey Pope, how you doing?
Speaking of,
I don't have those flat abs.
No.
Mine are much more round.
And spoiler alert for that game, fall damage happens to the person you fall on.
Yeah. There be mechanics, folks. Hey everybody, Poke here. Poke Real on Twitter, Poke Real on Twitch. I'm looking at all your streams. If you want to see more of this silly face, you get a number of opportunities. Primarily just hit up that Twitter because I follow these wonderful people around like a puppy. So where you will find them, you will most likely find me, whether it is on your screens or in the chat. And yeah, tonight there's a lot of love to go around. Simon, just I adore Caleb. Like that is a proper nos.
yes.
Like, that is.
Have I put in several hundred hours writing Caleb and knowing the ins and out of Caleb? Yes. Like almost like the back of my hand.
And it shows. He is absolutely magnificent. I love Diana you can see the ambition's going to get her in trouble. You know it's going to happen, you just don't know it. And she is also bought in to the propaganda hook, line, and sinker. She's just waiting for whoever's going to crown themselves prince, and hopes that she has enough goods to get that choice position. So there is going to be either she's going to come out on top, or it's going to be one hell of a fall. It's going to be fun to watch. And then, as was mentioned, these characters are very much their clan, but not necessarily in the way that you read in the splat books. It's the in between the lines things, like Flory just being able to, like, you just kind of walk in. It's closed. It's locked. And as well as all those measured, you can always con the con. Whether it's in that moment making that huge flashy entrance, whether it's that moment with the security guard. A Ravnos always has a game. And most of the time, as much as it seems like they don't have a game plan, they always have a game plan.
Mm-hmm.
Always.
Mm-hmm.
And as soon as you think that they don't, is when you're screwed. And you can definitely see that. And I wouldn't want to be Steve right now. I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
I wonder what he's up to.
Getting ready to die. Getting ready to get questioned and then die. And Lucky. Just Bruja. Just like, I'll make it up as we go. And that, like, Lucky is a son of Carthage. Like 10,000% that warrior scholar thing, where it's like half the brain is caring about information security, all like, we'll go to the library, we'll find this lore, we'll find these locations, and then
we'll go.
I'll make it up as we go. I'm gonna drag some elephants over the Alps. It's gonna be fine.
Look, I feel like that could totally work. I mean, if you could get the elephants over the Alps, imagine how great that would be.
Yeah.
I mean, I would like to point out historically that Hannibal would have actually won if the Carthaginian Senate would have given him the resupplies that he asked for, instead of trying to play both sides against the middle and negotiate a forcible surrender. He was literally a mile from the gates of Rome, and
he should have just.
But still, like, the Bruja, like, son of Carthage, like, there is no denying Lucky that lineage, and it shows in every single beat. Whether it's being able to just stare into this true witness thing from the very start and go, this is kindred bullshit.
Because he doesn't call it like that. He doesn't.
Yeah,
care.
but
He's like,
it also makes me want Hay to be alive and for that reunion to happen, because you know deep down that he really is this older Bruja's true child, and the similarities between the two of them are going to be amazing to see, and the small differences between experience and inexperience are also going to stand out by leaps and bounds. And so, no, this has been an absolute delight, and thank you all for taking part in it. Where live VOD YouTube, the story is nothing without its audience here, and much a part of this as we are. Take care of yourselves. One another. Love you all. See you soon.
Again, thank you everyone for coming. A quick errata, because I had time to look up the full city rule, because I had it up earlier and I didn't read down enough. gas stoves are fine. You need a permit now for a gas stove.
Oh, I see.
It's just you need to pay a lot of money. Pizzerias are allowed to have wood stoves for cooking. That's one of the examples they gave. Pizza ovens, like wood pizza ovens, that stays. That doesn't change. But for like just the average person at home, no more anything that uses solids as combustible. And it's mostly because of a smog issue. Not a fire hazard, but a air quality issue. So, tiny errata for that.
So, just about when you said the wooden stove, in class this week we were teaching. Last week I was teaching folk music, and I showed them an interview with this woman, Elizabeth Cotton, who was born like in 1895, and she's this Black North Carolinian who played the banjo, and she wrote the song Freight Train. And there was this interview with her when she was 90 years old, and this interviewer, this Scottish guy, was interviewing her about like her life and her music, and he was asking her about like, when she first started, and she was like, when I was just a little girl, and I was trying to she was like 11, I was trying to get like jobs, and I went to these people and I want to get a job, and the person's like, well, what can you do? And she says, well, I can cut your vegetables, I can light a fire in your stove. And she's like, the one of those iron stoves, those wood stoves, the iron stoves, you put the wood in there, you know what I'm talking about, right? And like the people there, they're like, oh yeah. She's like, no, you don't know. You may have heard about it, but I know how to actually like and do this iron stove. And I was thinking, Lucky knows actually how to do that. Like Lucky knows how to put the wood in the iron stove and get it to draw, because that is where he is. That is where and when he is from. And I was just kind of thinking about, because we were talking about wooden stoves the entire time, and I was thinking about that, right? What kinds of skills. And I imagine Flory has some very interesting skills that she learned from her time as well. These sort of little skills that our vampires still remember.
Yep. That's something I need to talk to y'all offline. But thank you everyone for coming. We'll be back next week for some more vampire. And we have friends tonight that we can raid, actually. High Shelf Gaming is currently playing a role-playing game. And whoops, I said High Shelf Playing, and it's High Shelf. I believe they call themselves Collective now, because they wanted to change. Yes, High Shelf Collective. We can go say hi to David and Taylor and Rich. And is also a channel that you will see this face on later in the year. But we'll talk about that some other time. Thank you so much for coming, everyone. Have a good night.
Thank you, audience.
And we'll see you next week.